The Galactic Council chamber fell into complete silence. Representatives from 47 different species sat frozen in their seats. The massive holographic display showed the approaching threat. A rogue black hole was moving through inhabited space. It would destroy 3 star systems within the next galactic cycle. Billions of lives hung in the balance. High Chancellor of the Empire stood at the central podium. His 6 eyes scanned the gathered delegates. Everyone looked terrified. They had ruled this sector for 12,000 years. They had never faced something they could not solve. Until now. "We have calculated every possible solution," announced. His voice carried the weight of despair. "Our greatest scientists have worked without rest. There is no technology in the known galaxy capable of stopping or redirecting this phenomenon. We must begin evacuation procedures immediately." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Evacuation meant leaving behind everything. Entire civilizations would become refugees. Ancient would be swallowed by the darkness. The delegate wept openly. Her species had evolved on one of the threatened worlds. 10,000 years of history would vanish. Then a door opened at the back of the chamber. Every head turned. A single human walked in. She wore the simple uniform of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. Her name was Commander Sarah. She was 43 years old. She had served humanity in dozens of impossible situations. Sarah walked calmly toward the central podium. Her footsteps echoed in the silent chamber. Every alien watched her with a mixture of curiosity and confusion. Humans were still relatively new to the galactic community. They had only achieved faster than light travel 200 years ago. Most species considered them primitive but amusing. "Forgive my late arrival," Sarah said. She stopped beside the High Chancellor. Traffic near the Andromeda Relay was terrible. Several delegates exchanged confused glances. Was this human making jokes at a time like this? Looked down at the small human woman. She barely reached his chest. "Commander, this is not the moment for human humor. We face extinction-level events." Sarah nodded slowly. She studied the holographic display for a long moment. The rogue black hole spun silently in the projection. Its event horizon consumed all light around it. It was beautiful in a terrifying way. "I heard about your problem," Sarah said quietly. "That is why I am here." The High Chancellor made a sound of frustration. "Unless humanity has secretly developed technology beyond anything the galaxy has seen, there is nothing you can offer. We appreciate your concern, but please take your seat." Sarah did not move. Instead, she reached into her pocket. She pulled out a small communication device. She pressed a single button on its surface. "Earth Command, this is. I am at the Galactic Council. Situation confirmed. The black hole problem." A voice crackled through the device. "Understood, Commander. What is your assessment?" Sarah looked at the holographic display one more time. Then she spoke 5 words that would change galactic history forever. "I will handle this." The reaction was immediate and terrifying. Every alien in the chamber received emergency alerts on their personal devices. Warning lights began flashing on consoles throughout the station. The guards suddenly looked nervous. The delegate stopped crying and started backing toward the exit. High Chancellor's skin turned pale. His 6 eyes went wide. He grabbed the podium for support. "Did she just say what I think she said?" whispered the ambassador to his aide. "Yes," the aide replied. His voice trembled. "A human just said they would handle it." Throughout the galaxy, similar scenes played out. On 100 different worlds, military commanders received the same automated warning. The message was simple. A human had volunteered to handle a problem. Red alert status was mandatory. The Empire activated its entire defense fleet. They recalled all their exploration vessels. They sealed their borders. They went underground into their deepest bunkers. Every species that had encountered humans knew what those words meant. Sarah noticed the panic spreading around her. She sighed softly. This always happened. "There is really no need for alarm," she said calmly. "No need for alarm." His voice was high and strained. "Commander, the last time a human said those words, the pre-tax nebula no longer exists." "That was an accident," Sarah replied. "Mostly. The time before that, your people ended a war by making an entire planet's core restart itself. They were being unreasonable." "And what about the Void Gate incident, where humans accidentally created a new dimension because they were trying to fix a broken coffee machine?" Sarah paused. "Okay, that one was actually impressive." The chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates were shouting in a dozen different languages. Some were trying to flee. Others were sending desperate messages to the universal translators could barely keep up with all the noise. Through it all, Sarah remained calm. She had seen this before. Every species in the galaxy had learned the same lesson over the past 2 centuries. Humans were not the strongest. They were not the fastest. They were not even but when a human looked at an impossible problem and said they would handle it, something incredible always happened. The galaxy had created a special alert system just for this situation. Whenever those words were spoken by a human, every major power was immediately. It was not because they feared human aggression. It was because human solutions to problems were always unexpected. Often they were spectacular. Sometimes they created new problems, but they always worked. 300 years ago, the Empire had controlled everything. They had believed themselves the masters of all creation. Then humans arrived. Small, soft, short-lived humans. At first, they had laughed. Then a human engineer had looked at their supposedly perfect faster-than-light drives. She had said she would handle the minor inefficiencies she noticed. A week later, she had accidentally invented a propulsion system that was 50 times faster than anything else in existence. She had been trying to make the coffee pot heat up quicker. The stories had spread throughout the galaxy. Humans did not solve problems the normal way. They did not follow the rules of physics. They did not respect the boundaries of what was possible. They simply decided something needed to be done, and then they did it. The universe itself seemed to bend around human determination. High Chancellor slowly sat down. His legs would not support him anymore. "What exactly are you planning, Commander?" Sarah smiled. It was not a reassuring smile. It was the smile of someone who had just had a very interesting idea. "Well, you cannot stop a black hole," Sarah said, "and you cannot redirect one either. Your scientists are correct about that. The gravitational forces involved are simply too massive." "Then what can you do?" "I am not going to stop it or redirect it." Sarah's eyes sparkled with something that made ancient species nervous. "I am going to feed it." The chamber went completely silent again. Every translator glitched slightly, as if the words did not make sense in any language. "Feed it," managed to say. "Black holes are hungry," Sarah explained. She pulled up new calculations on the holographic display. "They consume mass. The more mass they consume, the larger they become. But here is the interesting thing. If you feed them enough mass fast enough in exactly the right way, you can actually use the expelled radiation to push them." "That is theoretically impossible," said the science advisor. "The mathematics do not support such an approach." "Your mathematics do not support it," Sarah agreed. "But humanity has been working on some new mathematics. We call it desperation theory. It covers all the things that should not work but somehow do when humans really need them to." She pressed more buttons. New data appeared on the display. It showed a series of asteroids being directed toward the black hole. Thousands of them, millions of them, all perfectly timed, all perfectly positioned. "We have been moving asteroids through this sector for the past 50 years, Sarah said. "Everyone thought we were just mining them for resources. We were actually preparing for something like this." "You knew this would happen?" asked in disbelief. "No, humans just like to be prepared for impossible situations. We find them comforting." The delegate stopped her retreat toward the door. "Can this actually work?" Sarah shrugged. Probably, maybe. There is about a 30% chance we accidentally create a second black hole, but we are working on a solution for that too. What solution? We will handle it. The words triggered another wave of panic alerts across the galaxy. More defense fleets activated. More species went to emergency shelters. But this time, there was also something else. Hope. Commander Sarah spent the next 3 hours explaining humanity's plan. It was insane. It violated at least 17 known laws of physics. It required resources from a dozen different species, and it might destroy several uninhabited star systems as a side effect. The Galactic Council voted unanimously to let the humans try. Over the following weeks, the galaxy watched in terrified fascination. Human ships swarmed around the rogue black hole. They moved asteroids with impossible precision. They calculated trajectories that no computer should have been able to process. They worked without sleep, without rest, without any sign of the fear that paralyzed every other species. And slowly, impossibly, the black hole began to change course. It was not moving away from the inhabited systems. It was being pushed, fed and pushed by the combined determination of a species that refused to accept impossible as an answer. When it was over, the 3 star systems were saved. Billions of lives continued. Ancient remained under familiar suns. The rogue black hole continued its journey through empty space, harming nothing. High Chancellor personally thanked Commander at a ceremony on the "How did you know this would work?" he asked. Sarah thought about the question for a moment. "I did not know," she admitted. "Humans never know if something will work. We just decide it has to work, then we make it happen. That is not how the universe operates." "I know," Sarah said. She smiled again, that same smile that made ancient empires nervous. But nobody told the universe that, and humans are very persuasive. The galaxy updated its alert protocols that day. The warning level for a human has volunteered to handle something was raised to maximum. It was not because they feared failure. It was because they feared success. Every time humans handled something, the rules changed. The impossible became possible. The universe got a little stranger. And somewhere another human looked at another impossible problem. They thought about it for a moment. They considered the difficulties. They calculated the risks. Then they smiled and said the 5 words that made empires tremble. "I will handle this." Across the galaxy, red alerts began to flash. Again,